Hey everybody, how's it going? Thanks for stopping by again. Look, today we have to talk about a pretty troubling story from my perspective. If you saw the news today, you might have noticed that 14 former candidates from the New Brunswick New Democratic Party at the provincial level mostly have decided to join the Green Party and support both the provincial and federal Greens. And they make the case, on the one hand, that the NDP hasn't been paying enough attention to New Brunswick over the past couple years. But more crucial, I feel, is what former NDP executive member, federal NDP executive member, Jonathan Richardson said today. Let's take a read of this. I'm going to read you an excerpt from a piece. I'll put the link in the description. And you'll see the argument he makes for why this happened. The former NDP executive member said that he traveled around the province often to meet members, and the racism card came up a lot, especially in the northern part of the province. I knew this was going to be a major issue, and I did bring that to the election planning committee, that, there was going to have to be some discussion about race, because it wasn't going well. He said some potential NDP candidates were hesitant to run because they thought the electorate wouldn't vote for a party whose leader wore a turban. That was probably a reason that they felt people wouldn't want to vote for them because that would hold them back. So there you have it, from one of the most prominent members of this defectors group. It wasn't so much about Jagmeet Singh not coming to New Brunswick. It wasn't so much about any of that. It has to do with the fact that Richardson, and maybe some of the other 14, that's not confirmed, felt that Jagmeet Singh was too different for the people of New Brunswick, and so they felt their political fortunes were better with a white leader. It's as simple as that. And I'm not saying they're right. I give my fellow New Brunswickers, I was born and raised in New Brunswick, more credit than that. Richardson didn't. He felt, and apparently some other people felt too, that it wasn't even worth trying to present Jagmeet Singh as a leader to the people of New Brunswick, and that they would rather go with Elizabeth May because she's not that quote-unquote different. This is a really ugly look. This is a really ugly look for Richardson. And unless those other 14 people come out, those other dozen or so people come out, it looks bad on them, and it definitely looks bad for the Green Party. This makes them look like they're accepting people who are coming over overwhelmingly because they have the right leader to lead them forward. That's what it's about. That's what it's about. It's not really about climate change. The NDP's Green New Deal is a fantastic plan. It's nothing about that. It's fundamentally about how they feel they can't do it with a brown man that wears a turban, but they can do it with a white woman who wears a crucifix. And that's the truth, the very sad truth. And again, I don't necessarily buy that about New Brunswickers, but they did, and they acted in that manner. And as I noted on Twitter, if you make the case that we can't support this party because other people are racist, and therefore we have to join another party with a white leader to have a better chance of success, at the very least you are enabling and perpetuating racism. And you may just be a racist yourself. Because what you're saying effectively is, look, at the end of the day, we have to play within the bounds of white normativity. That people of color can't succeed, and we have to eschew that reality, and we have to find a white leader that will accept us, and that's that. This is really troubling, and it's connected to Pierre Nantel in Quebec, who had made remarks in the past about how he felt Quebecers would never accept a leader who wore a turban, a leader with such open religious expression, although as we know he is now a Green, and the Green leader is very open about her religious expression, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the point is the hypocrisy of it all. That Nantel says, oh, they don't accept religious, open religiosity. But what they mean is they don't accept open religiosity from people who have certain religions and who have certain skin tones. And that's really what it's about. So the Green Party in the last few weeks has taken a Quebecois candidate who left the NDP in part because the leader wears a turban and he doesn't feel that will succeed in Quebec. And they've taken an NDP federal executive member who has left in part because he feels New Brunswickers won't vote for a person who wears a turban and who has brown skin. This is the Green Party. When the Green Party comes for NDP members, they're not taking our best. They're not taking our brightest. They're not taking our most principled. In fact, I would say that this is in many ways addition by subtraction. Because I don't want these views in my party. I support Jagmeet Singh as leader. He wasn't my first choice on my ballot, but I support him as leader. And I reject any notion of using racism to justify not supporting him, because that is an act of racism. Wringing your hands and saying, well, I can't vote for the NDP because other people are racist. Well, then you're perpetuating that. And I have no goddamn time for it. None at all. And look, so many people celebrated Jagmeet when he stood up against racism against that heckler. And so many people celebrated his younger brother, Guratan, who did the same thing a couple days ago when he stood up against a racist heckler. Well, it's time to recognize that millions of Canadians stand with them and were proud of them in that moment and will vote for people of color and will vote for people who are non-Christian and will vote for people who wear openly religious garb, even if it's non-Christian. We have to have more faith in the Canadian people than that, and simply wringing your hands and saying, well, they might be racist, so I got to become a Green now. It's unacceptable. Unacceptable stuff. Good riddance to Richardson, and good riddance to any of the 14 who happen to hold his views. I certainly hope that they will come out and they will rebuke Richardson's views, and they will say, well, if I left, it wasn't because of that. But right now, I can't be so sure. And I have to feel it's not a coincidence that the Green Party has gotten 2 high-profile New Democratic defectors, both of whom have cited Jagmeet Singh's race and religion and attire as one of the reasons, if only indirectly. This is not a matter of electoral calculus. This is a matter of goddamn basic human rights and dignities. And I'm not going to tolerate, and nor should anybody else, the use of racism to justify more racism.